All right. Hey, everyone. I'm here with Laura and Michelle.
Hey, everyone.
Bye.
So we're really excited. This evening, what we're going to do, Michelle has volunteered, not voluntold, volunteered to do some coaching and share a little bit of her story with us. And Laura and I are just going to ask her some questions, create some real safe space, and allow whatever needs to come up and to come through, and allow that inner wisdom to come forward and really shine. Michelle, thanks so much for coming on. Laura and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. As I said earlier, I feel privileged for this experience. So very grateful.
Awesome.
Where
should we start?
Yeah, where would you like to start, Michelle? What would feel most comfortable for you?
Well, maybe just explain a little bit of how we got to be here in the first place, right? So a few weeks ago, you guys were doing a live on relationships as well, and I typed in, I think it was live on Instagram, and I had typed in a question about I've been celibate for the last almost 2.5 years, and I wanted to start dating again, and Laura said, just do it. Just do it. Just get on Tinder, get on, but just go out and do it. So I did.
That sounds like my advice. Yeah, that sounds about right.
So I did. I just did it. I was like, you know what? She's right. It's a Band-Aid. You just have to rip it off and go do it. So I did it. Went on Bumble. Went on my first date in 2.5 years. Was a great date. I really felt that there was a lot of connection between us. Even before we arranged the date, I found the discourse and the back and forth by text message was snappy, and I just really felt the connection. I was like super excited. I was like, this is the best thing I've ever done. Had a great first date, and the following morning, right away, I woke up to a text message from him explaining that he had met somebody else on the day before our date. And he didn't feel quite comfortable seeing the two of us at the same time. And he inquired as to whether or not I would be comfortable putting our connection on hold so that he could go and explore the one that came before me. And that obviously for me brought up an old wound of not being chosen. I've given you a little bit of background previously. I'm very aware of the fact that this is a daddy wound. This is a wound that comes from my father. My father has not chosen me, continues to not choose me. And while I think I've done a lot of work on it, this is obviously still part of my experience. And so I'm here for coaching, help.
Okay.
I'm gonna start with a question. And what do you think that's about?
Not being chosen? The wound or the
reaction you got from him. Him's just saying you felt a great connection on your end, and then suddenly it dropped the very next morning. What do you think that's about?
What do I think that's about? Well, for me, I'm a strong believer, and I've been a student of Laura's for many years, so I'm very aware that all relationship is mirror. And so for me, that I went into the experience of the first date as I wanted it to be I wanted to be excited about what the mirror was going to show me. And that was really my intent, was what is the mirror going to show me? And so my first reaction to his message was, of course, a little bit of disappointment. But right after that, I was like, wow, I'm attracting a much better quality of man than I did 2.5 years ago, where probably the guy I would have been attracted to would have been dating other people, but would have lied to me about it for months and months and months, while I continued to chase him and try to figure out why he wasn't giving me what I wanted in the connection. And then, in the end, to find out that he's been dating somebody else for months as well. And, that whole scenario. I've been through it too many times. So I was at the same time very pleased that he was honest right away, and that I got to make the choice of saying, yeah, no, well, thanks, but I don't do holds. I'm not on hold for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. What about the type of man? So if we think about it, he's gone on a date with you, you guys had a really great time, and then he's just kind of gone, actually no, like that. What type of man do you think would do that piece? You know what I mean? What type of person could, because it feels like you guys had a really good time and then he just shut it off.
Following morning, yeah.
Right. So what's that, do you think? What type of man, what would he have to be going through to do that?
What is he going through to do that? Now, I have to say, if I'm honest, my spidey senses picked up on something at the end of our date as we were leaving each other. And I said, okay, well, I'll message you my phone number and we'll plan our next date. And there was a hesitation. It was a beat. And then he said, yeah, sure, absolutely. And so my instincts felt something at that moment, but what kind of man or where would he have to be? I think he was kind of honest in saying, you know, I'm just not feeling very comfortable in seeing the two of you at the same time.
Okay.
And I can only take him at face value and at what he's given me as information. And I try to do that with everyone. And not try to look further into intentions but I'm aware from the information that he gave me that he did have a date with somebody else the day before his date with me.
Okay.
And I did see her again right before our date. And so that was his explanation to me is I've already seen her twice. I feel like I want to explore that more than I want to explore something with you.
Okay.
So he was already dishonest on some level, but cleared it up as soon as probably he felt a dissonance and he felt like it didn't connect as much for him as it did maybe for me.
Mm-hmm. What about the connection excited you?
What about the connection excited me? That's a really good question. We just it seemed like we had a lot of things in common and lifestyle-wise, as well as, and now that you're saying that, I'm seeing where you're going with that. Yes, it was external. It was a lot of the external stuff, but at the same time, I also felt like I could be myself. And I felt like I really was myself and I didn't feel like I was being judged or that I sounded crazy in any, you know what I mean? Like I felt like he was really open to who I was in the discussions and exchanges that we had. And it is a first date, so it's not like we went into deep topics of conversation about childhood wounds and how much inner work we've done. But my 2.5 years of celibacy did come up, and he explained to me that, you know, he also went through a period of time where he hadn't been dating at all, and he was very focused on work, and he was now coming back into wanting to date as well. So that was something that I thought we had in common.
Sorry, is that that's not my microphone?
Yeah. I'll just mute it if it comes up whenever it comes up, and you can just raise your hand and I'll just. What did you learn from him, from the experience with him?
I feel like I learned that I've done a lot of work on that particular wound, and while it might still be showing up in my experience, I'm not being triggered by it in the same way. So I felt that that was like probably my second thing that came up for me when I read his message in the morning was, wow, I'm attracting a much better quality of man than I did in the past, because this one was honest right off the bat, not even 24 hours. And he told me, listen, I'm seeing somebody else and I want to pursue that. And I was like, you know what? That's your truth. That's where you're at. I can't stop you. Thank you so much for your honesty. And, you know, God bless, but I don't do holes. It was the whole thing that kind of, you know, irritated me a little bit, but, you know, that's fine. And that was probably what the experience was there to show me, was how much growth I've done in these 2.5 years that the old me would have found an excuse to chase that man. I guarantee you, I would have found some excuse to chase that man. I would have convinced him that we could just be friends and we can hang out. And yeah, no. And I've healed enough to know that that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I deserve. And God bless. And so, on the one part, I think, wow, I've done a lot of work. But on the other hand, I'm thinking I still have some work to do because this is still coming up in my mirror, in my experience. And so I want to find out, how do I go on a dating experience and not have the not being chosen?
Okay. So I apologize if my voice is crackly. So I don't know. I was getting this at the beginning of the call, and I don't know if Jared's getting the same thing. But you know how we talk about going from the 5D, pulling it down into the 3D through communication and through just voicing what we need. It doesn't really feel like, if I'm honest, that there's really that much work for you to do and clear up. It feels like you're looking for something to fix, but actually there's nothing else to fix. It feels more like the universe is giving you all these experiences and saying, hey, look at how much you've done. Look at how much you've done. Yeah, here's another guy that's not going to choose you. But hey, guess what? You didn't really care. It's fine. You didn't do what you used to do. So it feels more like continuing on with putting yourself out there, going on dates if you want to. And it feels more like they're mirroring back the light in you than the dark in you. And maybe you're looking for something that's wrong with you, because we get onto that as well. Sometimes people looking for things that are wrong with them, but maybe there isn't. I don't know if you're getting the same, Jerry, but it feels more like, it doesn't feel that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I felt the same thing, which the next question that came up for me, Michelle, as you were speaking was, what does the ideal relationship look like for you?
See, very good. That is an excellent question. So I've been thinking about this a lot in the last 2.5 years, and it's difficult to really put into words as to what it actually looks like. It looks like I have a partner that I'm physically and sexually attracted to. We give each other space to be who we are. I'm not somebody that's necessarily looking to be married or live with somebody, or I'm kind of an introvert and I need my space and I need my so I'm looking for somebody that sort of has that same kind of lifestyle and is okay on their own and doesn't need me 24/7 either. And that, you know, when we come together and it's easy and it's it just flows. We have to be in the flow and just appreciate being with each other when we are with each other.
Yeah. Laura, do you have something? I'm gonna ask a question. Okay. I can.
Yeah, don't mute me. Yeah, this is a great thing. This is why I say to people, because celibacy, I was celibate for 2 years as well, so I totally respect that. And it's good to have that space, right? But at the same time, once we've moved through that and do the healing, then it's good to go out there and be like, okay, this is what I want in a relationship. Because there's been times.
We lost you, Laura.
Sorry, my dad rang me. Sorry, because I was going to go into father issues next. So it feels like, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, you kind of sound like a chipmunk, but we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know why, but now I can't hear you guys.
You're good. You're good now. Yeah, you're good now.
So what I was going to go to is, like, it's good to also go out and see what we want, because I thought I knew what I wanted for a really long time as well. I was like, I want this guy that looks like this, and I actually brought it in. And then when I had it, I thought, this is awful. I don't want this at all. So it's good to like explore and go out and just date and just see what different types of people are like. But there's something, there's not a lot of it. If I was to scale it, I would say like 5%, where there's still something about, if I find a man to choose me, then I'm valid. There's still that tiny piece. It's only small. And it's like, if I can just find that one man that chooses me, then I finally can be valued. Like I'm valid to someone. And then I can really live. Then I can really be alive. But it's finding all the things in you, energy-wise, physically, environment, everything that is valid everywhere in your life. And that feels like when you finally like solidify that piece, that last little bit is going to move through. Because we need to sometimes have the, okay, here's someone not choosing me again, but this time it doesn't bother me, because you're saying to the universe, there is no energy there. So you can stop sending that to me, because it's not, there's nothing else to learn, and that can move through. But there's just that really small piece left that's like, if I just find that one person to value me, then I'm valid, and then I'm good to go. But I think do you resonate with that?
Yes, a lot. And I would say that I think it's a little bit more than 5%. And I think that's why I'm here. I think it's a little bit more than 5%, because I really did have that tinge of disappointment right away. And I guess that's normal. Because my first reaction when I got his message that morning was disappointment, was, oh God, here we go again. I'm not being chosen. And, I didn't allow myself to spiral down into all of that and went, okay, so we didn't choose you. So what, right? And I identified, I knew right away what wound that was. And I went right to that daddy wound. And I said, you know what? He still hasn't chosen you, and you're okay. And you've moved past that, and you're going to move past this as well. And it's going to be fine.
Michelle, I'd like to ask a deeper question here. How do you define freedom in a relationship?
How do I define freedom in a relationship?
What does freedom look like to you in a relationship?
Freedom for me in a relationship looks like we are both comfortable in being 100% ourselves with each other and outside. And I always like to say, if I love somebody, I love them unconditionally. And that to me means that there is nothing that they can do or say that's going to stop me from loving them. It might change the dynamic of our relationship, but it won't prevent me from loving. So the freedom for me sort of is entangled in that idea of unconditional love as well.
Mm. Do they have to reciprocate that unconditional love that you give? Is that a standard for you in a relationship?
It has not been, but I want it to be.
So I'm going to close the gap there. It hasn't been, but you want it to be.
Yeah.
So is it not a standard yet for you? Because you said you want it to be.
Standard for me now, but if I look at my past relationships, I did not hold the men that I was involved with to that standard at all.
Okay. Laura, just so you know, you're completely unmuted because it's not crackling anymore, just so you know. So you can speak at any time. I just want to let you know that.
Guys, I can't hear you for some reason.
That's probably
I know it's my time to speak, because your mouths both stopped and you both stared at the screen like they're waiting for me to say something really majestic right now. Let me just.
I'm gonna keep going now. Can you hear us? Laura, your mic is fine.
I'll leave. I'll come straight back in. I'll come straight back.
That sounds good. Michelle, I'm going to take this a little bit deeper with you while Laura figures her tech out. So your standards are unconditional love, reciprocated unconditional love to you as well.
Yes, I think, as I explained to you in the context, I've done a lot of work in dating. The whole 2 years of celibacy, I focused on dating myself.
Yeah.
And being in a relationship with myself and showing myself unconditional love. And I feel like, seeing as all relationship is mirror, if I am capable of doing that for myself and I'm capable of doing it for others, then yes, I deserve to be loved that way as well.
Mm-hmm. How will you know if you're holding someone to that standard?
How will I know if I'm holding someone to that standard? I think it's a feeling that you get it from the interaction, from the relation within the relationship, as to whether or not this person is willing to look at you and see love, right? And be unconditional about that as well, instead of saying, well, I really can't accept you having said that, or done that, and I need time off. And I've had different reiterations of that from partners in the past. And everybody has free will, and sure, maybe you need some time out or whatnot. But to me, when somebody, I wouldn't react that way to somebody I loved.
Laura, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, perfect. You're fine. You're not crackling at all, so you're good to go.
Well, give it a minute. Don't speak too soon. Yeah, it's gonna crackle. My phone. So I missed a bit of the talk, but the part that I was picking up on when I chimed back in, you know, when you because you obviously made a decision to be celibate for a couple of years, right? There was a choice behind that. Do you find it a little bit scary when you put yourself out there in the world again and you think, wow, now I've got to battle all this again and rejection and abandonment? Is there a part of you that's like, that's scary?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I went through that for the first few weeks, and that's you guys had the live, and I came on the live and I was listening to it, and that's exactly where I was, and I just wanted to let go of that fear. And it's strange to say, but I just needed you to tell me, just do it. and I did it, and I said, okay, you know what, she's right. I just need to let go of that fear and go out there and not put just don't put the expectations so high, and just be excited for the fact that this is your first date in 2.5 years, and you get to see what the mirror is going to show you. There's nothing to be afraid of because it's a mirror, right? And if I love and respect myself and I have confidence in who I am and what I have to offer, then just going out there and seeing what the mirror reflects back to me, I'm probably going to see something very beautiful, which I feel like I really did. And it was a very successful first date.
Beautiful. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into this if you're okay with that, Michelle.
Absolutely.
And guys, I just want to say we are going to take time to answer questions. I see a lot of everyone asking questions. Some people are trying to ask questions for Michelle as well. We'll get to all those questions at the end of this. So everyone's going to have a chance to share what it is that they want to share. So you're in this new space now where all of a sudden that old childhood wound, you can see it for what it is. It doesn't control how you put yourself out there. What would a relationship look like without any wounding whatsoever? What would that feel like? Like if you could actually feel into that, what would that feel like if you had a relationship that didn't have any type of wounding or trauma, or you didn't even have the memory that you were ever wounded? What would that look like and feel like?
Wow.
Of ever being
I
wounded?
don't know that I have words to describe what that would look like, but it definitely wouldn't be a human experience because we're all wounded as humans, and it's just part of the reality of who we are. It's how we decide to react to those wounds. So in my perspective anyway, so I have no idea what that would look like, but I think it would resemble something angelic and fifth dimensional that probably doesn't really exist. So I don't really know how to describe that, but it would be very beautiful and just, in the flow, constantly in the flow of just being happy and blissful union all the time. Right? But because both of us are human in the relationship, we're both wounded, and those wounds will always surface, whether they're his or mine. They're always there. It's just how we choose to either react or not react from them.
I'm gonna go to Laura on this.
Do you believe that the type of relationship that you want is possible?
Yes.
Do you believe it exists? Do you? And that's that feeling you were talking about with being at peace and being in union, and that feeling. Jared and I talk about it as the feeling of joy or bliss. Do you feel that in your life every day, in everything? Do you honor yourself in all ways? Do you listen to your body with what it needs to eat? Do you go outside? Do you have a bathroom? You need a bath? Do you cut these people out because they're toxic? Are you complete in that way?
I try every day to make sure that I'm coming at life from a place of happiness and fulfillment and gratitude. Absolutely. It's part of my practice. Of course, I'm human and this is a human experience. So yes, there are going to be times when, somebody's going to trigger you, whether it's at the office or whatnot, but I try to also be aware of it and to say, okay, I'm being triggered right now and I need to look within and understand why I'm being triggered and just unravel that. And as soon as you do that exercise, life can go back to being happy and blissful again, right? So,
Michelle, do you think there can be a time in your life in relationship where there's no triggering whatsoever? Do you think that's possible?
No.
Maybe not.
No, if I'm honest, I don't think that is part of the human experience. I think we're here. Part of the human experience is that triggering, and it's our experience is about how we go about healing and releasing those triggers.
What happens when you release all triggers? What would happen?
Well, you see, my experience of the first date leads me to understand that you never do release all the triggers. You get triggered, you just don't react to the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
It still always exists. It will always be there. It will always come up for you. You just will look at it and go, "Oh, hi, yeah, I know you, but I don't need to pay attention to you anymore. So, but thanks for showing up. We're good." But the trigger will always be there. That's I could be wrong, but in my experience, and that's exactly what this first date showed me, was trigger still is there, but the healing I've done around that wound was enough for me to be able to see the trigger and not react to it.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there could ever, like, if you were just to imagine a relationship where there wasn't even a trigger? I know we talked about this a little bit about like it feeling like it was angelic, it feeling like it was completely in flow. If you felt into that, if you could just feel into that in a moment, what would that feel like, look like, see like? What would that be?
Love. Like it just feels like you're surrounded by love and you're expanding out through love and you're just in this bubble of total and complete love. If there are no triggers, no wounds, and we're just in complete total unison, yeah, it feels like unconditional total love.
When you describe that state, do you feel that at all, or is it just kind of like nano?
Yeah, did you not see that go through me? Because I felt it. I totally felt the energy of that before I expressed it in words.
So if that was a temporary state, like what would it look like if that feeling was a permanent state for you and your being? How would your life change if that feeling that you just experienced right then in that moment, if that was a permanent state for you, how would that change your experience of life?
Well, it completely changes your experience of life. Life then is, and I also think, I guess because a lot of the work that I do, I see a lot of pain and suffering. So there's a fear of just, if I'm always in this bubble of happiness and love, then that compassion for other people's pain might be diminished.
Ooh, I love that. Ooh, so what I'm hearing here, and I'm going to go to Laura too.
I don't know. That's probably shadow work.
Well, do you want to go here?
Sure.
So what I just heard there was, if I live in this loving space all the time, then I'm not going to be a compassionate human being anymore. If I feel this good all the time, I'm going to lose my compassion.
I'm going to lose my ability to feel other people's pain, which is an important component to compassion for me.
Mm. Do you need to feel another person's pain to be? Yeah, I'm going to go to Laura.
Yeah, empath thing here. Yes, I get this.
What do you got, Laura?
It makes perfect. It is. There's this feeling that we think we deserve to be in pain to understand things. I totally resonate with that. I see it all the time with our clients. In order for me to understand, I have to be in pain. I have to be in pain to be able to go down to the deepest parts of people's shadow and pull them up. But that's not the case. We have to stand in the light and let them come to us. But there's this energy that runs through a lot of people that think they literally have to suffer. It's a deserving energy. I deserve to suffer. That's where it usually comes from. It's believing that that's all we should be having. And it may only be a small part of us. But if we have any of it, it stops us from really going to the highest parts of our energy. We think we deserve to be there. It's all very, if you follow the timelines of it in past lives, it actually goes back to the Christ energy, which is really cool, which is he died for our sins. He suffered to help
for us.
Yeah. So it goes back to that timeline. People carry it all the time. But if we believe that we deserve to be in that much pain, then we can never fully go into the whole of bliss. That's why I was asking, do you honor yourself in all areas? Because there's a little piece that there's something's not being honored, and that could definitely sit into that piece with you.
I often feel like I need to feel when another person comes to me that I can clearly see is in pain. I need to sort of to identify with what that pain is. I need to feel it as well, and then I can let it go and say, okay, now I can help you. That's sort of my process, and I think it's an empath thing. I know I'm an empath, so right away I'll feel another person's energy and I'll feel it as if it's happening to me. It's taken me a lot of time to learn how to say, okay, no, that's not mine. That's yours. I thank you for showing me what you're feeling, and now I can assess how I'm going to pursue either this conversation or this interaction. But I usually always feel it first. And so that living in that constant bubble of peace and love and that higher plane for me, I fear I would no longer be able to do that. And maybe I'm not supposed to do that, is what Laura is saying.
Well, do you mind if I ask a deeper question here, Michelle?
Go ahead.
If you couldn't feel their pain, do you think you would lose the connection to them? And then if that would keep you from being able to help them? Like if you couldn't feel their pain, do you think you can't help them if you can't feel their pain?
I think there's a part of me that thinks that, because that's always been my experience, is that if I feel their pain, then I'm better able to ascertain what needs to, or what I need to do, right? And that goes back to my mother wound and growing up with a narcissistic mother. So I needed to meet her needs, and I always needed to be aware of what she was feeling in order to protect myself, protect my sisters, and have control over the situation. So I still, in my everyday life, I still feel like I need to tap in to other people's energy first before I take action.
I felt we were going into that space, and I could feel like the sensitivity around that for you when we went there. Are you still comfortable with going deeper?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, cool. Or do you want to share anything?
The deeper you go, the more you heal. I'm not afraid.
Okay.
Not afraid of the deep. I'm not afraid of the dark.
Cool. Laura, you want?
Yeah, I always feel like the narcissistic woman is so much more dangerous than the narcissistic man, because we're supposed to trust women. They're mothers, right? They're the nurturer. They birth people. So the narcissistic mother wound actually runs deeper than the narcissistic father wound. And it's kind of sitting right in this higher heart center, which actually kind of blocks the throat off only. Can you feel it? Like,
yeah.
Right.
Well, I felt it while I was talking about it. So absolutely.
Yeah. Kind of it's all those times you've swallowed her emotions, but all the times you've swallowed. Every time you wanted to speak or say something about how you feel, it was kind of, not only was it rejected, it was twisted and thrown back at you in a different way. And there's part of you that still believes that your opinion or who you are is still not quite. It's like you were always told you're one way when actually you're another way. So you always knew who you were, but then she always told you, no, you're wrong, you're not that, you're this. And so there was this confusion growing up. And you kind of understand more to a level of who you are, but it still sits in the energy a little bit. And it's a sad feeling, like just here, like in between the collarbones, where it's just sitting. could probably remove it today if you wanted to. We could probably shift it if you wanted to. But it's sort of it's actually from when you were really, really tiny, really small, because you're born into her womb, you're born with her scars, her DNA, her cells, her wounding, and that's the first place where the child is developed, in the top vertebrae of the upper back. So it's all the beginning stages of the wound that's just sitting here. And it's actually all the times that she was told that she wasn't enough, because it's a cycle. She's not enough. She's not good enough. Hers was more from her dad, but yours is from her. And so you're carrying a level of her pain at the same time. And there's like feels like a little girl inside you that just wants to save people, because you couldn't save that version of you going through that, and there's still a part of you that wants to fix and heal and save everyone. Even for me and Jared as coaches and healers, we're not here to save or fix anyone. We're here to ask the right questions so that you can fix yourself. That's what we hold space for, right? We're here to just ask the right. We can feel the energy, what question we need to ask to get you to open up, but we're really just a conduit to push you into something to heal. We're not here to fix anyone ever. I know we probably all felt like we were, and I know I did, but at the end of the day, you can only heal yourself, and you can be the light for other people. But there is that little girl in you that was sort of just wants to fix mummy, because mummy yells, mummy manipulates, mummy doesn't show up, and there's still that running a little bit here, like the little girl wanting to say, can you just see me? Can you just love me? Because your mum carried a very masculine energy anyway, so it's kind of like from that side, wanting to fix people from that side. So I don't know, we could always do some of that today if we wanted to, if my microphone allowed us to. I don't know what my voice sounds like right now.
So Laura, you're just so amazing where that's concerned. You just hit it on the middle, and you gave me goosebumps with the accuracy of that. My mom's wound comes from her father, and it's like, yep. Yep, and you don't even know the family history.
Yeah, Michelle, Laura and I will gladly do that. Do you mind if I still ask some deeper questions here? Awesome. This is going to be a deep one, but I want to ask it in the right way. If you knew that you could heal people, or if you knew that you could help people without connecting with their pain, would you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I believe my whole purpose for being on earth is to help people.
Mm-hmm.
In what way or form, I'm not entirely sure of all the time. That changes, but
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's meant to. It continues to change.
Would you like for that to be your experience? And maybe not, but I mean, would you like for that to be your experience now, where you can actually help people without having to feel their pain? Because you can start experiencing life like that if you want to, but it's up, like, we can go there, but I'm not going to take that experience away from you unless you want it.
I appreciate that, Jared, and that you asked the question, because I have to admit that there's a part of me that's very reticent to change that way of being, because that's the only way of being I've ever known. So there's a tinge of fear because I can't even imagine what that would look like, or how it would feel for me to be able to help someone without feeling their pain. But yeah, I guess that would be great, that I could remain in my center and in my energy and still be able to be useful and helpful to another person in front of me without having to I do this all the time, because that's exactly how it feels for me. Is like I go into the other person's and then I come back
to you. Yeah.
and I can do that back and forth constantly during a conversation with somebody. It does become, and that's probably why I limit my, I'm known for being a bit of an introvert, and I limit social activities because I pick up too much on too many people's energies, and it just becomes exhausting.
Right. It's so exhausting. It's so tiring. Imagine if a nurse had to cut her arm open every time she wanted to give someone stitches on their arm, right? It'd be like, what the hell are you doing? Oh, I got to help this person. Let me just cut my arm open. And then emotionally, that's exactly what's happening.
Very good analogy. Yes. So
how does
that analogy just absolutely made me understand where we were going with this. And so my answer to your previous question is yes.
Cool. Awesome.
I do not need to cut myself open every time I need to stitch somebody up.
That's the only reason why I really gave the metaphor. Perfect. Sweet. So how does that energy pattern of feeling into a person's energy, going in, coming back and exhausting yourself, how has that kept you safe your entire life?
That's exactly what it was used for. It was a tool that kept me safe because I could understand if my mom was about to go into a rage or not, if like who was about to get it, like where, if she was in a happy mood or in not happy mood. And so I've done that my entire life to stay safe. I guess it's something that I picked up in childhood to stay safe. And I've continued to use it in situations where I probably don't need to, but because it's been how I socialize in order to stay safe. Yes.
I'm going to go to Laura here.
Thank you. Yeah, that's usually where it starts. It's a safety thing. Everything is. We talked about this in our live last week, I think, Jared, about safety. Every trigger, everything underlying, it's all about safety. And any pattern, any cycle that we continue on is to do with safety, feeling safe, not being abandoned, protecting ourselves. So it's like this cycle ongoing that if I just fix everyone, then I'm safe. And it means that every single person that comes to you, you think you have an obligation to fix them. And you have an obligation to read every single person's energy and what they're going through and how you can fix it. And even the men that you will date. I'm kind of glad we're talking about this now that you're dating again, because otherwise you're going to bring in these men and like, oh my God, I see what he's doing. He's got daddy issues. He's got abandonment issues. Oh my God, he has rejection issues. Like, no.
Yep.
You don't want to go there. You don't want to go there with relationships, because then you become their mother, and that's not what you're there for. You're there to be their partner, their lover, right? Not the mother energy. That's not sexy. So we don't go there. So we want to clear it before you go further on into the dating experience, because otherwise you'll probably bring in men that need fixing, and that you don't want to go into that, because that's a whole different story. So I don't know if you want to
let's do
questions to me to do the Q. I don't mind which route we go. I just need to plug my phone in, but
yeah. So I'll go into it a little bit, and you'll go into it. We'll just attack, double team together if you're cool with that, Michelle. Do you feel safe doing this here?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, beautiful. Where in your body do you feel any bit of fear around not being able to push your energy out into other people to feel them first? Is there some place in your body where you feel that? Where in your body does that mechanism stem from? From, okay, I need to push my energy out, empath, feel the other person's energy, and then pull it back. Where in your body is that coming from when you feel into your body?
Sternum. So sacral chakra, I guess. No, what's the sternum? Sorry.
Yeah.
Root.
I'm gonna take a guess.
Right before the heart chakra.
So is it right at that stomach area, like right below? Yeah, right there. There's a little pinch up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I got it. Yep. So I just want you to fall back. So I just want you to take a couple seconds here. Are you in a safe, comfortable position where you can lean back a little bit, or at least be relaxed?
I'm in a hard chair, so
yeah. As long as
back.
Okay, perfect. So I just want you to slowly drop. So I just want you to close your eyes if you feel safe doing so. And I slowly just want you to drop into that stomach space. There we go. Beautiful. And I want you to just imagine yourself falling back into that space. Yep, I'm feeling it. Ooh, really tight there, really tight. I just want you to continue to fall back, and there we go. Fall back into that space even more. Laura, you can come in at any time.
Okay. To the area for me and just focusing on what it looks like and what it feels like. And can you just put an emotion? What emotion comes up for you when you go into the energy of the solar plexus?
What emotion comes up when I go in? I get a mix of fear and excitement.
Yeah, beautiful. So that's new terrain for you. New terrain is always, I'm a little scared, but I'm a little excited too. I want you to imagine just falling deeper back into that space, Michelle. Falling deeper into that fear, falling deeper into that excitement. And Laura and I are totally with you and holding safe space. Nothing can go wrong. Yeah, there we go. So just keep falling down into that space. Well, are you getting any visuals? Are you starting to see anything? What's coming up as you fall deeper and deeper into the space?
I'm only seeing bright yellow.
Mm-hmm. Bright yellow. What else are you seeing? Yeah, there we go. So as you fall back more into that space, falling deeper and deeper into that solar plexus chakra, feeling more relaxed in it, feeling safer. Yeah, there we go. I'm gonna bring Laura on here.
Okay, so can you just focus on that yellow for me? Can you see that in front of you?
Yes, I actually just kind of myself as a child chasing butterflies, and that's the yellow, the butterfly.
Perfect. Can you just, in amongst all the butterflies and amongst the beautiful yellow color, can you see a bright golden doorway for me?
Okay.
Okay. So what we're going to do, let's take you through to whatever connection, whatever memory is held in that energy that is connected to fear that you've experienced. Are you okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So just walking through that door when you're ready, just tell me where you end up.
I'm on clouds.
Okay. And what's on the clouds with you?
Strange, but I see my grandmother.
Okay. Does she have
Now
anything that she wants to tell you?
She wants to give me a hug.
Yeah.
What does she want to tell you? What has she been through that you've also been through? What's the similarity in the experiences?
Exactly what she's saying. She wanted to protect me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She wanted to teach me to put up boundaries. That's exactly what she just told me. She was raised by a narcissistic mother and she had to learn how to put up boundaries.
Mm.
And she wanted to protect me so that I could learn how to put them up too.
What would that look like now if you were placing boundaries? How would that change the relationship dynamics in your life?
I wouldn't go into other people's bubbles. I would stay in my own. And I wouldn't let other people affect me so much. I'd be able to say, yeah, no, sorry. This isn't about me. This is you.
When you go into your, I want you just to go up to the throat a little bit, Michelle. Do you feel anything in your throat when you say that, and when you're focused? Do you feel anything in your throat there?
Yeah.
What do you feel there? What are you seeing? What are you observing?
Regret.
Yeah. And what's that regret about?
Not speaking up for myself.
Yeah. Did you know any better at the time?
No,
Yeah.
I was scared.
Yeah. When you understand that you didn't know any better at that time, what do you feel? What can you tell that past self who didn't know any better to use her voice to draw boundaries and speak up? What does she need to hear?
I want to tell that little girl to put up her shield,
Mm-hmm.
and that everything that she's feeling, that anger and that fear that she's feeling from her mother, is not hers to feel.
Mm.
And she just needs to sit there and stay in love.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my wound.
Mm.
That little girl didn't know it wasn't her wound. And she thought she was the one there was something wrong with her.
Mm.
And what does that little girl want to tell you? What does she want to say to you right now?
Thank you for seeing me.
Can you give that little girl a hug? Tell her hi. I think she's been waiting for that for a really long time.
I love you.
Yeah. Michelle, you spend as much time with her as much as you need. We're all here just holding space for you. You can spend the next 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes just being with her if you want to. As much time as you want. How do you feel right now, Michelle? What are you feeling?
Light, love, joy, childlike.
Yeah.
It's always fun for me to reconnect with that child every once in a while, and especially in that way where it's just love. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on and doing this. We appreciate your bravery.
For me, that was That was good.
That's good. Good. What do you think is on offer for you in your relationships? Like if you and this little girl were one and you guys were a double team in the dating world, what do you think would change? How do you think that would change your experience of relationship? What would that look like? What would relationship look like now to you if she was always by your side and you guys were a team?
Well, that little girl seems to only know joy. Like it's her entire spirit, her entire being is just joy and happiness. And so that's and it's light and fun. And so I think that would bring a lot more fun and joy into my dating experience for sure.
Mm.
Maybe that's exactly what's needed.
My guess is that if you guys were a team in this together, 50-50, she probably wouldn't allow anyone who steals from her joy or happiness. That's just my guess. I might be wrong, but what do you think?
Anybody to steal her joy or her happiness? Well, if we're a team now, and now that we've done that that exercise of putting up the shield and understanding that we don't need to go into other people's energy fields, we can stay in our own, then yes, she wouldn't allow anybody to take away the joy from within our bubble.
Mm. You gotta go to Laura.
Do you understand on a new level now that you're not here to fix everyone? How do you feel about the fixing energy? Because I think when we go into that,
I completely get it. And I've gotten it for a while too, that I'm not here to fix anybody necessarily, but yeah. And so for me, it ended up being, I think lately it hasn't been so much about fixing as much as just an exercise that I've always done in order to that's profound, because what just came up for me was in order to be who I needed to be in the situation instead of just being me. All of the time, just show up as I am 100% in that moment. Authentically myself. I show up as what I think is needed because of the other person's energy instead of just being in my own.
Wow, that's great.
That is profound.
So it sounds like your energy state is no longer in a state of reaction anymore, where it's, oh, I'm feeling this person's energy. I'm going to feel it out. It's just, oh no, I'm just going to be me in my own space. And however everyone else's energy reacts to it, that's on them. They're fine. This is me though.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, absolutely. I can just show up and be authentically myself and not worry about how that's going to affect other people or how other people will show up. They show up as themselves. I show up as myself.
And you see what happens.
They see what happens. Exactly.
Right. Beautiful. Do you see how that power dynamic totally switched? Like 20 minutes ago, it was, I'm going to feel a person's energy and I'm feeling them out so I can react to them in a certain way that allows everyone to feel safe. So I feel safe. So I'm going to react to their energy so I feel safe. But now it's, oh, I'm just going to show up as my full presence. And if that scares them and they run away, it's on them. If they are attracted to me and they come in, cool, great. But I am the center of attention. I'm the center of gravity. It's no longer them. It's no longer I need to feel into them and maybe adjust or adapt my energies to their energies. It's now just, oh, I'm me. this is all me. I'm going to go into this. And if they run, they run. If they blow up, they blow up. If they come and want to give me a hug and I feel that that's safe, then they come and want to give me a hug.
The butterflies run away though. Oh, that little girl was chasing butterflies that were running away from her, and that image of if they run away, they run away. I was like, well, yeah, the butterflies kept running away, but she was having so much fun chasing them.
That's good.
We're going to have to correct that though, Michelle. No, we're not chasing after butterflies running away. We let them go. Let them fly. That's their beauty.
And they can come back at any time that they want to. You can just call them back and they'll come in and you'll naturally follow that. Laura, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I feel like butterflies kind of represented all the times when you were little that you were just chasing your joy, chasing your joy, chasing your joy. And every time you try to do that, it's like your mum probably told you, no, you can't do that. And so it's like, or whenever I am expressing my full self, I get told that it's not enough, or that it's silly, or that I need to be different. And so you just shut down who you really were. So you were just wearing a bit of a mask where you're like, well, this is how I should be. This is how I should be. This is how I should be. And you identify with it and you like who you should be. But just from that session, it feels like now it's like, this is who you really are. And now the dating experience is going to be very different. I'm going to want some Instagram messages, and the whole dynamic with men, it's all going to shift now. I can feel already, like your whole energy shifted. We've just peeled off a layer of, I need to be this version of me to feel safe. And now it's just, this is who you actually are. Welcome to the world. Hi. Hi. Yeah, feels good. Yeah, I don't know if we want to go to some questions. I don't know if people are asking questions or whether you wanted to bring anyone to. Well, I don't know what people are saying. So
yeah, I'll definitely bring
waterproof mascara.
I'm definitely going to go to some questions. Michelle, what I think Laura and I would like to do is we'd like to bring you on again, maybe a week from now or some time later, and just see, because this is going to shift some things in your experience, and we'd love to just do a review and a recap and see where you're at, what's going on, what's changed, what's not changed. But I have an inkling that a lot's shifted and that your experience of this will really shift. But I'm excited to see it, a week or 2 weeks from now. So are you okay with coming back on like a week or 2 weeks from now after you have some more experiences?
I'm honored and blessed and extremely grateful. Extremely grateful that you would do this for me. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Laura and I are gonna go to some questions now, so we're gonna catch up with you a little bit later. I'll send you an email and we'll catch up with you later. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great. I'll keep listening live to the question and answer and go on and check that out.
Cool, great. Thanks so much for being open and willing, Michelle. It was beautiful. We're really excited for you, and we're excited to see how things are from now. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. All right. Beautiful. Laura, you want to take some questions out with people?
Yeah.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. What did you have to, do you want to share anything with me or share with other people? Just what you're thinking?
I think it's just good for everyone. Hopefully everyone got something from that, because I think there's a lot of energy of like the wounded healer that a lot of people go through where they think they're here to fix everyone, and I totally understand that because I used to do it too.
I've done that.
Yeah, we literally think, well, I'm here to save everyone and that's it, and I'm here to fix everyone, and I did it for years as well, but it's not really the truth. I think I learned it in my last relationship where I tried to fix him, and after years and years of trying, when I stepped away, I realized that he was exactly the same as he was when I found him. It did nothing. It wasted 4 years of my life. I learned a lot myself, but seriously, we're not here to do that. We're here to be the light, and if people want to catch up with us, they can. If they don't, they don't. Like you said, they drop away. So we're not here to fix people. We stand in our space, and so I think it's just a lot of people can take something from what she just cleared. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing I was just talking to a client the other day, it comes from a good place where we want that other person to be better. Like for us, love is defined as, someone earlier on the conversation said, love is sacrifice. And immediately I was like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Which we'll go into that and we can bring that up. We'll go back into that. But that's what a lot of people think is love is sacrifice, or they're like, I want to change this other person because it'll make their life better. It'll be better for them. And then they'll exert so much of their time, so much of their energy, but it doesn't do anything. It's not helpful because when you try to change someone, no one likes to be told what to do. Like no one does. It's just some people do. Some people want that but most individuals, like true healing comes from asking the right questions, seeing the insights that people could have, the possibilities, and then asking questions around it, just like you and I did back and forth. And then that leads them into a space of their own revelation. Like human beings only change when they have their own revelations. Like laws, that's why laws don't work. I mean, I think laws are important, but when you try to tell people what to do, a lot of the times most people just like to rebel. But if you give people an experience to see why what we're telling them or why a law might be best for them to follow, if you give them an experience of that directly, then naturally they'll move in the right direction. And that's what I always encourage like partners to do. I was just talking with a woman the other day. She was parenting her kids and nothing was working. And I said, well, what if you tried, instead of telling your kids what to do, what if you asked them questions to give them the insight to show them how picking up their toys is actually going to be beneficial for them? And so we literally designed a series of questions to ask her kids so the kids could have an insight and see for themselves, oh, picking up my toys is actually the best thing for me. And once they saw that and they had that revelation for themselves, they naturally, their energies just shifted. She no longer has to tell them to pick up their toys because they see the value of that. And it's the same with us and all of this. When we see the value of living a certain way and being a certain way, and we shift our energies by asking the right questions, by going deep, by seeing the patterns, life just gets easier. I'm really excited for her. I'm so excited for her. I think she's going to be, I'm just really excited for Michelle. I'm really excited to hear how her new, I'm excited to bring her back on.
Yeah, she's going to have some massive changes now, and it can happen that quick. I mean, she probably had a shower for 10 minutes. Like it's really that quick if we just go into to where the feeling is. And I think, like you were saying, we have to realize these things for ourselves. We can't tell other people. And I get the same with clients when they say, oh, but they'll feel so much better if they realize, if they healed this or they healed that. But that's up to them.
Right.
People attach themselves to their wound. They want their wound to be there. They feel safe in their wound. Who are we to go and rip that away from them? That's like ripping away a safety blanket for someone. It may be a wounded blanket, but it's theirs and it's their safety. When it's not up to us to go and rip that away. And it's up to everyone to find their way. I mean, even the people that are saying, but they'll feel better if they heal it. Well, there's certain things that person will feel better in healing, but no one's telling them to do that. There's things that will make me feel better by healing it that I don't even know is in my system because it's not ready to come up yet. We all have blind spots. Everyone has stuff. I mean, people will like put Jesus on a pedestal, but that guy wasn't grounded at all. Like he wasn't. I'm not
right.
But when I've connected into the energy of Jesus Christ, he wasn't grounded. He was fixing and healing everyone, and people were depending on him, and that's not right.
Right.
So, everyone's perfect.
I love that because I love his energy, and I've experienced the Christ consciousness energy coming through and the power of that. But I mean, there was times where he healed people from the blind, like he healed blind people. They ran away and they were excited, and he was just left there like, what the fuck? And like, and then you didn't get paid and you got crucified. Like that's not a way to go out. So I think it's really important for, if there's any healers who are watching this, to recognize, like, ask permission if people are ready to give up their wounding. You know, I was talking to one woman earlier where I could see her heart was hurting so bad. She reached out to me and we connected, and I said, are you ready to let go of that person? And she said, no. And I was like, cool. Because she would rather be attached to the memory and the love of him than actually having someone in her life. She was more attached to the idea of having a loving relationship than actually having a real loving relationship in her life. And like, that's bizarre to me. Like, that's insanity to my world. But for a lot of individuals, that's what it is. Some people aren't ready to go into those spaces if they're not ready to go into it, really. And that has to be respected. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it reminds me of my past relationship, because he used to always visualize and dream that he had this woman, and he used to dance around his room with his pillow, and he used to sleep with his pillow and pretend it was her. And it was me the whole time. He told me this, right? When he met me, we'd be in bed, he wouldn't cuddle me, he'd cuddle the pillow. And I'm like, but you've been pretending that pillow is me for the last 15 years, and now I'm right here. But he didn't want to cuddle me, he wanted the memory, he wanted the pillow. Yeah. So we attach the memory, we attach the dream, the fantasy with, we want to be with that, because guess what? The fantasy isn't going to rip your heart out. That's why. Right. I love that. That's beautiful. That's so awesome that you shared that, Laura. Yeah, a lot of the times people are actually afraid of the real thing, because once you have the real thing, you can actually lose it. It can run out on you. It's like, well, I don't want to scare that, but I'm going to have this pillow so I can imagine this pillow. Yeah, falling in love with fantasy is, once I saw that in people, even in sales and in businesses, it's amazing how people can fall in love with an idea, and that idea can drive them and actually keep them from having the real thing. And the real thing is always on offer. It's always there. It's always so close. It's only, like Michelle, that's why I asked her, I said, are you ready to experience life in a whole new way? Because I don't want to take that from you. And then she said, wow, thanks for sharing with me, because there's a part of me that my identity is attached to that wounding. And that's what true transformation is about, is you don't even remember who you used to be. Like, I don't even remember my past selves anymore. I can talk about it, but I don't even, true transformation is beyond what you can actually imagine, because that's the very nature. Like, when you're imagining something, you're coming from a certain place. But when you actually kill that place you're coming from, whole new possibilities open up, whole new worlds that you couldn't even imagine, because it's a whole different space, a whole different place. Yeah, that's what I love about transformation. I know we've both had this experience. If I've done a healing for myself, and when you've done them, we'll both say to each other, what did you heal? I don't know. It's because it's literally gone. I don't know, right. But I'm different and I feel good. So something's gone. Because you literally, when you with the healing that we do, you're literally pulling it out of your energy field. It no longer exists. There's no identity to it. There's no attachment to it. It's not even we actually remove the memory of it. So when we go back and we go, well, what did you heal? Did you have people say, did you have a good session with so and so? I'm like, what did you look at? I don't know. I can't remember. And then you really think, you're like, what did I clear? But it's gone, because you've literally pulled it out of your energy field. And that's how you start to change your life around. You pull that down to the ground, you get back on with your life, and it feels different. You attract different things because you are different. And that is transformation. I love that. I've always, whenever I do long-term coaching contracts, like 6 months, I always record the sessions, and I tell them, look, as this process, because I've had clients come to a 3rd month of coaching and they'll be like, dude, I don't know, I feel different, but I don't actually know if you've done anything. I say, hold up, let's go back to video number 1. And then they're like it, and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't even remember that version of me. And I'm like, that's what transformation is. You don't even remember who you used to be. If you're still coming from the framework of healing, or coming from the framework of, oh, that old self, that's when you truly heal, or you truly move on to a new being, that old self isn't even a part of you anymore. It's not even remembered. I know when I was a Marine and a buff guy and a PTSD dude, but I don't even remember that state of consciousness or that state of being, or what that was like. I can't even, I have no memory of it, because that's what's gone. That chitta, the yogis call it chitta, memory, that's stored in the body, and that determines how we experience our life. And it's just completely gone. Yeah. And it doesn't come back no matter how hard you try. Right. People say, or is it going to come back? I'm like, no, it's not. You've pulled it. It's gone. That's been created for generations and lifetimes. No, it's not just going to go back tomorrow when you have a bad day.
Right.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that's why I make sure I always ask people. I'm like, hey, are you ready for this? Because like, you're not gonna come back. And most, like, I've never not had an individual who hasn't been, because you always feel better when you're on the other side. You don't even remember who you were before or what happened before, but it's just like, oh, I just feel better. The best way that I can put it is, the movie. What's the Jim Carrey movie when he was in the relationship? And he had the option of clearing out all the memories that he had with the girl. Eternal Sunshine of the
Sunshine of a Spotless Mind.
Yeah. Like, that's what this is. I remember, I'll never forget it. I had one client, she said to me, I feel like you did that from that movie, I feel like you did that to me. And then I was like, wow, that's a great metaphor. Yeah, that's exactly what we did. But like, some people, they don't want to lose all those memories because they think to themselves, well, if I lose the memory and I never see that again, then I lose that love. And it's like, well, yes, you lose the memory of that love, but you get the offering of so much of a better love that you couldn't even imagine that comes in, because now that's out. Like, it's no longer in you.
Yep. There's a picture, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a picture of God represented as a man. So it's this big man with a beard, because that's what God looks like, and a little girl,
right.
And she's carrying this little teddy, and God is carrying the same teddy bear behind his back, but it's a big version of it. And he was asking for the little teddy that she was carrying, and she was like, no, God, I want this one. And the idea is like, he has something so much bigger and grander, and something she's going to do more, but she has to let go of what she thinks she needs right now in order to get the next piece. And it's always like that. We always think, but I used to think this when I was unconscious, like, but I'm never going to have that again. I remember thinking that years ago when I broke up with my ex from when I was about 24. I thought, I'm never going to find that again, but I did, and more. You find more every time, because you get more clear on what you want every time.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that. Yeah, as long as you can let go of the memory, and be willing. That's it. It's just a willingness to let go and embrace the new. Cool. Laura, do you want to go into some questions here? Are you cool with that? Awesome. So I'm going to bring up some questions here. Let's see what we got. We got a lot of questions. I just want to find one that I think would work best. Okay, this is good. I like this question. So this is Life Mechanics. Life Mechanics has some really good comments. He says, how do I know when to share insight? What is the physical feeling? Yeah, that's a great question. Do you have anything to say about that, Laura? Like how do you know when to share insight? What is the physical feeling?
I mean, I don't know about the physical feeling, or whether this is I don't know exactly what that, to me, it's an intuitive feeling. I always feel like when I tap into my intuition, when I'm reading someone's energy or whatever I'm doing that day, to me, it feels like walls. So if I was to look into someone's energy, for example, and feel here and feel there, I feel where the walls are, and then I go into the space where there isn't a wall. And it's the same with sharing. If you're trying to share something with someone, an insight, you can feel if there's a wall up. And if there's a wall up, some people want to just push through that because they're so frustrated that people aren't supporting, they want to knock it down. That's ego. But if you, and it goes in different stages, but if you want to share something, an insight, if the energy feels open, if the space feels open and easy and flowing, then you can share. It might be that you share some information and then you feel a wall go up. That means the person has had enough of what you're saying. They've absorbed enough. And we all get that. Sometimes we feel the wall and then we have to talk about something else, and then we feel it go down and we think, oh, I'm going to throw this in now. They're ready to hear it. If someone's not ready to hear it, they're not going to hear it. If someone doesn't ask the question, they don't want to know the answer. It's as simple as that. And by that can be physically them saying, hey, dude, what do you think about this? Or it can be their energy opening up and saying, I'm ready for more. Share when you're ready. So to me, it just feels like a wall. If I have an insight and I want to share it, like if I have an insight right now about veganism, if I try and talk about that right now, there's a wall right there, because we're not talking about food, we're not talking about animal rights, we're not talking about anything like that. So if I go in right now to give you my insight on that, there's a massive wall. So what am I going to do? Am I going to push through that and be like, right, guys, this is how I think the world should be? Or am I going to say, well, that's a topic for a different date? Maybe. I don't really talk about shit like that. So you got to feel the wall. You got to feel where the wall is, and if there's no wall there, then the person's energy is saying yes. So for me, and physically, I mean, I don't really feel things physically. Do you feel things physically? I guess maybe in the heart it feels expansive.
Yeah, I think so. It all depends. I mean, I think we all as healers or people, we have different tendencies. Like I feel it somatically. I'm guessing life mechanics is more of a somatic person. So like I thought it was really interesting when you wanted her to go deeper. You said go in like visualization, like go into the yellow. What's that yellow represent? Whereas I went, ooh, I can feel her falling into that space. Like, so my energy picks it up as a falling, like falling into that deeper space. And sometimes I'll see it as a visual. And so I've even had clients who have said, oh yeah, I'm like falling into a cavern and then I'm exploring this new inner cavern I've never seen before. And so it all depends, I think, on really your strength. Some people are more visual, some people are more tactile like myself. So really life mechanics, whatever is your strong way of intuiting, use that. Mine is more somatic. It sounds like Laura's comes more visually. Laura, maybe? Yes, no, I'm more visual.
Visually
Okay.
and feeling.
Gotcha. Beautiful. Yeah. So it's really whatever works best for you. I'm going to go into some other questions here. That was a great question, life mechanics. Let's see, what else do we got here? Got a lot of comments. So I'm going to go into Sam's question. He says, I'm curious about the comment about attracting being and attracted to being who need fixing. That resonates a lot with my own experience. How to heal from this? Laura, you want to take that first?
How to heal from being the Mr. Fix-It? Is that what the question means?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Let me bring up the question there. Yeah, there it is.
Attracted being. I'm curious. People who need fixing. Oh, being attracted to people who need fixing. We bring in people that need fixing if we think that we're here to heal everyone. Simple as that. So it's like, yeah. So to fix that, well, I mean, first of all, same as what we did with Michelle. Realizing that that's not your job. That's one thing. That's like the 3D thing. Like, oh, hang on a minute. Maybe I'm here. I always say to a lot of people, my clients, I say to them, if you keep trying to fix everyone, you're going to miss out on the opportunity for why you really came here. If you keep trying to fix everyone, you're going to miss out on life. You really are. But what you want to do, kind of similar to what you and I did with Michelle, is you want to go in, feel it in the body. Like, okay, if I was focusing on the feeling of fixing someone, where is it in my body? Go in there. What's the emotion? What comes up for you? Because everyone has a reason why they want to be the fixer. And it is normally similar to what Michelle was getting. It's a safety thing. If I was the same being an empath growing up, I was like feeling everyone's pain. Well, if I soothe, like my mum would get very emotional and she'd get very down. And she told me that as a child, I would just go and stroke her face and hug her and things because I could feel she wasn't okay. And I don't want to feel her in pain. She was my mother. So I would fix it. And so then she'd feel better and I'd feel better and everyone's happy for 20 minutes until I had to fix the next thing.
Right.
It's always starts when we're very small. Yeah. Sam, what I would say to that is, recognition and awareness is the first key. And just the fact that you watched this live and generated some awareness around it, that's great. Then after that, it's having someone that can hold space for you, who can take you into that space. You can go into that space for yourself. It might be a little bit scary. I encourage you to try going into that space within yourself. I've also found that there's something to be said when you have other people holding space for you so you can fall into a deeper space within yourself. And that's really what Laura and I will be doing in June. So we have our workshop coming up the first week of June, the Sacred Relationship Sexuality Workshop. And that's what this is all about. It's all about going into those spaces, creating that safe container for you to actually feel those places within yourself that you didn't know were there, and allowing that to come to the surface. So if that's something that you want to continue, I would highly suggest checking that out. Then we'll be doing that in June. And if you guys, if anyone wants any info on the workshop that we'll be doing in June, or if you just want to sign up for the series that we're doing, we'll be doing more of these coaching sessions. We'll be doing more of these lives.
If you want to come on coaching, drop a comment and we'll see if Laura and I will check you out, and we got a lot of people, so we don't want to promise anyone anything, but if you want to come in and have this done for you as well, feel free to drop a comment and we'll see if we can make that happen. How many, Laura, you still good for a couple other questions?
Yeah.
2 more questions?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's go to, let's see, what other questions do we got here? Oh, this is great. So I'm going to bring up William's comment here. Williams says, okay, so I have this feeling that there are no empaths or narcissists, just people that act narcissistically and empathically. Can anyone comment on this? Because I think we are all inherently all the same. That's a great comment. I love that. Do you want to start on that, Laura?
Yeah, I mean, I think, well, I believe everyone's an empath, and I believe everyone can be narcissistic. I believe it's what we choose to tap into. Basically, yeah, I can definitely see where I had very narcissistic tendencies in the past. I can manipulate men like that. Like, I knew how to get what I wanted for sure. Yeah. I could twist people's minds. I could manipulate. I could get them to see things unclearly. Because I could feel their energy, I could twist things and throw it back at them, and I'd win every argument. So I totally see how I use that. I don't use it anymore, but I had to become aware of that first to clear it, and then actually the other side of it, which is the empathic side, opened up a bit more. But I do believe we're all born with gifts. We're all empathic. We can all feel each other's energy. It's just whether we're choosing consciously to tap into that or not. So everything is a choice, and everything is, I think, as long as we make every decision consciously, we're on a pretty good path, to be honest. But yeah, I can see that totally.
Yeah, I love it. I totally agree. It's the same. It's the same for me. I mean, we all have the capacity to be empathic, I think, except for sociopaths. There is a study that's actually done. I don't know if I believe in it, but it says that there's like 0.5% of the population is sociopathic, and literally they're missing the part of the brain that is responsible for empathy. I don't know. I'd like to think that humanity is more hopeful than that. So, but I don't know if that's true. That's just what the study showed. And it was a reliable study done by Columbia University. But everyone has, I think, the ability to be either or. And it's really what you choose on a daily basis. Like in this relationship, I can give X amount. I can't really take. And in this relationship, I can give a lot. It's really what you can give and what you can't give, and it's a choice that we make every single day. Yes, I feel this, but I'm not going to go into it, or no, I'm just going to stay hard. I mean, I'm the same as you, Laura. I mean, I think I share with you, and some of the people watching the call, I know some of them are clients. They've shared with me their stories, and like I used to be able to do the same thing. Like if I wanted a girl in one way, I knew exactly how to do it. I knew exactly which buttons to push to trigger, to make her feel insecure about herself, so then she would give what issues. And that was what I used to do, but I was in my wounded masculine and she was in her wounded feminine. So we would play out at that level, and it's just not happy. Like everyone ends up, it's just not a happy place to be. And yeah, what I realized too, and this is what I think is important for people to realize, we have this concept called filters in the coaching world. And what filters are, it's past experiences and ways of being that color our present experience and our perception. And so if you're acting in the world like a narcissist, like if you're manipulating people consciously and you know it, what's going to eventually end up happening is you're going to think that other people are constantly manipulating you as well too, because the way that you're being in the world has to be reflected back to you. That's the great design about life. So if you're going to be manipulative out there and say, okay, I'm just going to be this way and manipulate people to get what I want, you're going to also energetically, it's impossible not to, put up a guard around your heart and think, but if I got to look out for other people though. I got to look out for other people and see if other people are going to manipulate me, which is going to create anxiety, and it's self-induced. Sorry, Laura, my bad. There we go.
There tends to be a cycle. I think it was Matt Kahn that says people treat you how they've been treated.
Yeah.
And that's so true. I can see how someone comes to me, I'm like, oh, that's how you've been like people that come to me with so much love, I'm like, oh, you've really been shown love before, that's awesome. And then they come to me in pain, I'm like, wow, I'm sorry that you've had so much pain in your life. But it's like the person that commented about love is sacrifice. What they're actually saying is the love I've experienced is sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's what everything we put out, we receive back. That's why people that cheat are always worried that their partner's going to cheat, because if they have the capacity to do that, then they're going to worry that everyone else has the capacity to do that. Simple as that. We believe everyone does what we do, but I mean, there's that end, and then there's the other end, which is I'm always lovely and kind. I expect everyone else to be lovely and kind. They're not, but I try and see them in that light, and then actually you get walked all over. So it's like this fine line of really seeing people who they are. I tend to just follow people's actions and watch their actions rather than their words. That seems to be that's the ticket right there. But yeah, whatever you see in yourself is what you're going to see and expect in others.
That's great.
Sure.
I love that, Laura. Yeah, I always look at people's patterns. I used to just look at their words, obviously, and then there was a lot of pain created from that. And then I look at their actions, and that helped. And now I'm like, okay, what are their patterns? What are their patterns of actions? And that I allow to speak, and then I speak to that. And that's a great thing I think about this is when you look at people's patterns, you can see what they might not even be aware of at the mental level, and you can keep from their shadow playing out on you. And I think it's important to know who to be. Like, I was just talking with a client the other day, and she said, I just have a heart for everyone. I love everyone. I say, that's great to love everyone, but that doesn't mean let everyone into your heart, like in the sense that people who aren't going to respect it. Like part of having self-compassion and love is recognizing, oh, this person isn't going to love me the way that I can love myself. So I'm not going to let them into my heart space until they can love me the way that I love myself. End of story. Because if you let people in your heart space who don't have the same standards for your heart that you do, then they're going to rip that shit out, and it's going to hurt, and it's not going to be fun.
Yeah. And people can only love you as much love as they are willing to give. Like I learned that in my last relationship, where I was like, well, I have all this love and he has this love. He says I love you with all my heart. I say I love you with all my heart, but yet his level of love in his heart was smaller than mine. I had a bigger capacity.
Yeah.
So it's like you can both love each other with all your hearts. That's what we used to say. But it doesn't mean that it's going to make you happy, because I'm like, this man is telling me he loves me with all his heart, and yet I feel nothing, because I expand just a different direction, different way. So people can give you everything that they have, but it may still not be enough for you if you can have more even on your own. Someone has to, right? That's tricky when you're at the place where you and I got to, where we're like loving ourselves, and like, who can make me as happy as I make myself? Who can love me the way I love me? I fulfill all my needs. Whatever I need, I make sure that I get it. I do it. I need cake and chocolate. I'm there for myself, right? If I need a nap, I totally honor myself. Who's going to give you that? But you can bring it in, but you got to just be aware of the standards and be aware of what capacity people can show up in, I guess.
Yeah, I love that capability. So do they actually have the capacity to show up in the way that I would need for them to show up in the relationship, and really measuring that? And I think that's great. I mean, I don't think that's discriminating. I think that's caring for your heart. I've said that to some people, and they're like, oh, that's not very loving. I'm like, that's probably the most loving thing that I could do for myself. Yes, is not letting you in. I remember I dated one girl last year. Not dated, we just went out on a date, I guess. So yeah, I guess it would have been dated, but I didn't even know it was a date. I was just kind of like, I got nothing better to do for this hour, so I'm gonna. And then I suddenly realized, I was like, this girl just wants me to take care of her, and I immediately was like, just like the boot right out the door. Like in my mind, I was like, and like, that's fine for like, that's just not what I wanted. Like, if she wants that in a relationship, there's nothing wrong with that. But I finally saw, I was like, wait a second, like, you just want me to take care of every aspect of your life. Like, no, like, I can give you love, but like I could tell if I said, you want to move in and I'll just pay for everything, she would have been like, yes. And like, I don't know, it just suddenly struck me where I was like, wait a second, she automatically is like, this is what she's hoping for. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, no, like, I'm not going to be that guy for you. I just want you to know that. Like, if you're hoping for that, it's not me. And I just told her that straight up. And she was like, thank you. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then we never talked to each other again. And that was great. It was like, but like, she was able to move on to what she wanted and was looking for. And I was able to move on what I was looking for. And there's no hard feelings about it. It was just like communicated up front.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's a guy out there somewhere who just wants to pay for someone and take care of it, and it ain't you, and that's fine. People need to see that. It's like, well, I see what you want, but what people tend to do is, well, if I can just make them what I want them to be, then that would be great. That's so dangerous. I learned about that when I was 19, right? So this is a while ago. This is 11 years ago. And it was Abraham Hicks, and they were talking about this stuff. And she was saying couples, you know, they'd be together, and then they realized that actually maybe they're not compatible. And she's saying to him, well, I've grown, I've expanded. I need you to come up and expand with me. And he'll say, but I'm not. I don't want to grow that way. I want to grow this way. And she's like, I don't care. I need you to grow this way. I need you to come be what I want you to be. And I remember hearing that really young, and I was thinking, wow, yeah, I was already doing that at 19. God, I think most people would do, where we meet someone and we say, I want you to become what I need you to become, so that first of all, I don't have to do the work to manifest what I really want. Second of all, I don't have to deal with anything. Third of all, it's easier. No one has to move out or get divorced or sign new papers. Just change yourself and everything you are, and then everything's fine. And it doesn't work like that.
Just be a totally different person for me. That's all.
Yeah, just completely change everything about yourself. I'm not asking for a lot. Like, it's free. You know, so we do that. We have a tendency to we do that when we see relationships ending. We see that things aren't working anymore, and it's really from a place of pain, where it's like, wow, I'm in pain because we used to have such a great time and now we're not connecting anymore. And rather than dealing with it or moving on, if you just change so that I don't have to look at the things that I don't like anymore, then the pain will go away. It's really just and I'll feel safe again. That's what it is.
Yeah, beautiful. And we're going to take one more question out here, and then Laura and I are going to get going here. Guys, if you haven't yet, please check out the links in the YouTube description box below. What we're doing there is you can just register for the Sacred Sexuality series that we're doing. We're doing more lives. We're doing more interviews. We're bringing on more people. We'll be doing this for the next 3 months, leading up to the workshop in LA in June. So if you haven't, please check that out. Also, if this has really been helpful and you guys are really enjoying this, please share with any family or friends. We want this work to go out in the world. This is what changes people's lives and makes their own experience if you feel comfortable doing so. All right, so I'm going to bring up Apurva's question here. Apurva says, what are the best ways to socialize with narcissistic men at workplace, especially if they find you attractive and you're not interested in narcissist personality? This is going to be a fun one. Laura, I want to hear what you want to share about that.
Where do I begin? It's funny though. Narcissistic men are fascinating. So if they find you attractive, well, there's two ways of that. If they find you attractive, there's a part of you that's still vulnerable, because they're only attracted to vulnerable people. They're not attracted to strong people at all, because strong people won't deal with their shit, basically. So just that's something to be aware of for the person. But how to interact with them is to stay present with who you are. It's actually really that simple, I would say. It's been a while since I've been around the energy of a narc, but in the past, if I run into a man who's in that energy, what I'd noticed, and I met a man at a bar probably like 6 months ago, and he was this big, like, you know, you could smell his cologne as he walked in the door, and he's got the gold, and he's got the big shirt, and thinks he's amazing, right? Trains legs like 5 times a week. His legs the same size as his torso, and he walks in. I'm like, wow, that's an energy of a man right there. I don't even know what to say. And I was vulnerable because I was stood at the bar alone because I was buying drinks for my friend and I. And he walked over and he was like, he kind of looked at me as if, you know, you saw the energy. Like, he's like, how you doing? I'm like, oh, fine, thank you. And I just ignored him a little bit. And he came over to me and he started speaking to me. And I just felt my energy. I stood up straight in my energy and I spoke to him for about 5 minutes, and I stayed in my center politely and gently in my feminine, and he went, well, I hope you have a good night. It's nice to meet you. And he walked away, and he never approached me again. I've seen him in that bar since. He doesn't talk to me because he knows that I'm not touchable. He can't bend me this way and that way. He can't manipulate me. He can't control me. I can't be controlled. I'm in my feminine, and I know who I am, and it's not going to work. And he saw that straight away. But if a woman is sort of like, oh, I don't know, then that's a target right there. So it's really about being in the center of who you are. And if you're in the workplace, women, because it's such a masculine environment, women tend to pan out to the men like, oh yeah, we'll just do this, yes, we'll just do that. But you can still stay in your strength. You can still stay in that center energy and be strong and be who you are and not change because there's a man present, especially a narcissistic man. So I think it's really about being in the center of who you are. That's been my experience of it.
I love that.
Can't be touched.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that, Laura. Thanks for sharing. I just had a previous client message me. She's working for a sales company out in California, and she's dealing with like male sexual harassment right now. And it's like, it's crazy to me that that's still happening in the 21st century, where I'm like, she shared this with me and I was like, wait, like men still speak like that? That's insanity. Like what is going on? But really what I found is, I love what you said, Laura, about just being strong in your own energy and in yourself, and like they won't even be allowed to come in. But my other question would be, why are you even socializing with, like, you don't have to socialize with them at all. I know you might like the attention that you receive from them, and there's nothing wrong with that. We as human beings like attention. There's nothing wrong with like that's normal, but they might push that and they might see that and they might start giving you more and more attention. And so I would just say, stay in your power, and you can either just tell them to, like, you don't have to respond to it. Like, that's what it means to be in your power, is you have choice. You don't have to respond to it in any way. If they find you attractive and you're not interested in that narcissistic personality, which I'm glad you're not, then I would just shut it down. Like, you could just say, hey guys, I gotta go, or hey, I'm just not really interested in speaking, and just remain firm in that. And as you remain firm in that, you draw those boundaries, just like Laura said, and they're not going to be able to come in. It's just, they can't. It's impossible, because you've stood up for yourself in that way. Beautiful. All right, guys. So that's all we have for this time. Laura and I will be going live again on the 19th. That's going to happen. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not the 19th, the 18th. So a week from now at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be doing a live together on the chakras and how the chakras and sexuality are connected. So we'll go deep into how those two things interconnect, what that looks like, and how you can use this in your own life, how you can use the good understanding of the chakras, how the energy flows through the chakras, and actually make energetic connections out there into the world to bring in certain physical experiences that you want. I do this in my business. I know Laura probably does it in her business as well, but also maybe your relationship, the new relationship that you have potentially. But it's really just learning how to control the energy that flows through your chakras, because that's the energy that's controlling all of your physical experience. And so when you understand how to push that energy out in a certain way into the world with a certain frequency, then what will happen is only certain parts will reflect back to you in the physical that you want. But it's learning to live very consciously, setting down conscious intentions, setting down conscious actions, living moment to moment in a powerful centered state. And when you do that, really anything actually is possible. Anyone who you've seen accomplish a lot in the world and been happy and joyful doing it, it's because they've learned to become centered in who they really are, and staying in that space and not being pulled by other individuals. And that's a process, but it's also a part of coaching, it's a part of healing, and it's something that we'll be teaching you guys more how to do as we go deeper into the series. Laura, do you have anything else that you want to finish up and share with everyone?
Just reminding everyone to stay in their power and stay present with everything. I think when we get triggered, we get pushed back to the past. And so it's just reminding everyone to stay in the present moment as much as you can. Same with everything. Even if you are going through something, nothing's ever permanent. So you're not always going to feel off, and everything does become clear eventually. So, and even with Michelle today, like everyone that watched that would have received some level of healing, because it's always healing watching someone else get healed. And I hope you guys had lots of epiphanies as well about I know even I did. I always do. Like, well, I'm like, oh, I never looked at it like that. That's really interesting. It's always healing. It's always helping us grow. So hopefully you guys got some stuff off that, and we'll see her in a couple of weeks, and we'll see how she's doing. Because I reckon she'll be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm excited to bring her back on and share with everyone and show everyone what's possible. It'll be exciting, and just to see how she's doing. Beautiful. All right, everyone, that's all we got for now. Going live on the 18th. If you like what you've seen here, please check out the YouTube description box. Come see us in June. Laura and I got nothing else for you for tonight. We're signing off. Have a beautiful, blessed, powerful week. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.